Good, I'm done.
All right, everyone. So we more or less made it through the fall collection. We still have late requests we're going through. Jenny just took a count. We have 209 late requests related to the fall collection. Most of those are for advisor data. 68 are related to follow-up data, probably mostly related to SPED students. Generally, the help desk, whoever is working on your late request should be in contact with you or whoever put in the late request. Once they verify that, they've uploaded the correct 17-18 follow-up data, or they've verified that you've got your data looking correct in the live advisor database, then at that point they hand it over to Jill, basically, and we copy the data. All of your live data gets copied over to the snapshot, overriding what was there. So
all of it that affects October.
Yeah, true. So since you can only see the snapshot data in the fall reports that have the locked snapshot version, so basically, yeah, you should see the numbers there. And generally, we're moving those as we confirm they're done. I just looked, looks like we had 89 districts say they are done there. But there's still some late requests. There's been a lot of tickets in that last week. So the help desk is catching up. Please be patient. Maybe in the next week or so, we might get caught up. Some of the problems that we saw in the fall window, there's obvious things like the timing. Obviously, we know about that. We did discover some things that are structural issues with EdFi that we will have to address next year, basically. We try not to change the structure of our data mid-year, because then all the vendors would all break until they make corrections. Some of the things, and a lot of you may have noticed this, districts were deleting each other's local IDs out. We can fix that next year. Food program eligibility, some of the vendors made a fix to work around this. Basically, right now, food program eligibility is collected like a demographic flag, like a gender. It's not meant to change, but it needs to be collected in a way that has dates attached to it, so you can see when a student changes from this status to another status. SPED programs, also the structure of how those are collected might change a little bit. So again, we could see changes over time. It'll make it less confusing with, some of the errors that flag students based on their settings. They have to have a Part C setting until they hit their birthday, and then it has to be Part B. And it's all very confusing. So those are some changes we're definitely looking at for next year. As well as just communicating more with SIS vendors, trying to make sure all the changes are addressed. There is a significant EdFi upgrade we are planning for next year, just changing the core EdFi version from 2.1 to 3.1. So yeah, all the vendors will have to be paying a little extra attention next year regardless. It's not something that happens every year, but we will be doing that for next year. So. Advisor validation, as you've hopefully noticed, we rolled out the archiving errors feature. Fall reports have the reporting window that says as of October 1st locked now, which shows you your snapshot data. The district admin sign-off was added, but if you are not an admin, you do not get access to that screen. You just get a big warning that says you don't get in. Next up, we will just be looking at some bug fixes, timeout issues, other tweaks that we've collected some tickets over the fall window of people noticing things to change, but we haven't really focused on those. So the next round will just be kind of cleanup there. The dashboard, like we've been saying, we need to make a few fixes to it. We'll be looking at that later this month. I will let you know probably on the next call that we have made those fixes, I hope. Yeah, so Andy was asking about the EdFi update. Yeah, that is something that happens over the summer. We hope to introduce the vendors to it around February, and hopefully they have their fixes released in the summer. And as we'll officially convert to the new format like August 1st, just like we do every year, we roll over on that date. Anna, yes, there will be a list of what's changing. Some of it'll kind of be a hybrid. We'll be looking at changes in the core EdFi product as we upgrade versions, as well as we'll kind of have to list other changes that are specific to Nebraska. And I don't know anything yet, but like every year, we probably will also have some new code here and there, little changes like we always end up having. So.
And Anna, this is Jill. If you want to get a jump on it, you can go out to the EdFi Tech Docs and take a look at what some of the differences are between 2 and 3 that affect the vendors, such as new namespaces for extensions, stuff like that. So that will be obviously, I think, probably most of the work that needs to be done. And so you could, start taking a look and pre-planning for that now if you wanted to.
I don't think things are radically different in the new version. It's just that a lot of things might have different names, little things that have to be coded for. The core structure of EdFi doesn't really change. Some of the things that we built extensions for, like the calendar, are now part of core, but they work a little bit different than the way we had built them. So we'll be covering that for sure. We'll probably have some special documentation about those big changes. Anyone else have any questions or something feedback you want to talk about for the fall window? All right. Moving on. As we're coming into the middle of the year, once we actually are finished with the fall window, we'll be having some focus areas that we're going to look at now, so we have time to kind of sort things out, hopefully before we get into the year-end window. I think number one is attendance. We know that a lot of districts have struggled to actually get their calendar set up correctly. We will be talking through this. We'll be talking to, I know at least Power School, probably Infant Campus, any other vendors that want to get involved, about collecting attendance properly for all the special case students. I don't have a lot to say about it today, but we haven't, really started looking at it yet. But we'll we'll be talking about it in all our advisor team meetings, and we'll be setting up some other meetings to work through it. I think we still have the attendance reports shut off in the validation site. Part of that was because as we were getting data, it was taking an extremely long time to load those. And so we are considering whether we have to put those to be loaded nightly, so that you can pull the report up in a timely manner, or if we can work around that. So we will be looking at that in the near future as well. So at some point you should see the attendance related reports pop back in to the validation site under the membership and attendance area. I don't have a firm date on that yet though. Like I said, we still just need to, once we are really done with the fall window, we will start focusing on that. Probably the second focus area is going to be the course section enrollment. Most of your students should already be enrolled in courses, but we need to look at who's having problems. I know I've seen some tickets with this. Are you able to actually enter all the courses you need? How is that working? So that will probably be over the next 2 or 3 months. We'll be talking about those a lot. But like I said, right now I don't know what form that will take. There are reports related to your course sections out on the validation site now. I think they used to be called student grade reports, but now they're just called course reports, I think. Yeah, student courses. All right, vendor updates. Nothing much to add here. Okay, sorry. Maurice has a question. Are there specific attendance windows? No, basically we've dropped the idea of quarterly attendance due dates. Some of the reports we could choose to show the data to you in a quarterly format, but as far as data collections, technically your attendance data is just due at the end of the year. Obviously, we hope people will be addressing their attendance issues before the end of the year. Yeah, that will be a lot of data to synchronize right at the end.
Technically, statute still has a quarterly statement, but no one is requesting the data. And since attendance is essentially being submitted to us hopefully real time, we are just not too worried about it, making sure it is quarterly right now. If they go back to asking for it quarterly, we will let you know, and we'll publish some dates that you will have it resolved every quarter for. But until they start asking for it in a quarterly manner again, we're just going to focus on an annual number.
Effectively, you don't have to worry about it.
However, reviewing it throughout the year would help you, once we have it available for you to do, would help you so you're not doing all of it at the end of the year.
Yeah, other vendor updates, basically, there was a flurry of fixes, but almost everything is done for the fall window. I think EduPoint's still working on some, or they're just finishing up now. EduStar had to work on some individual district issues. As far as I know, those have been handled by the late request. Infinite Campus made a few fixes, and like I've been saying, they had a few open issues related to calendar and attendance. So again, as we begin focusing on that, they will also be taking a look at that. I haven't heard anything from JMC. PowerSchool had I think it was the 18.10 state reporting release. I think that was the last of the fixes we knew for fall. So, right now, and Amy will be helping us with this, we'll be focusing on how the calendars work and how the tracks work in PowerSchool. I think they're since the discipline system is still brand new, I think we're still working through a few fixes there as well. With generally those fixes for that should roll out over the next 2 months, I would say. Sims, haven't heard anything from Anna. Like all the districts made it in. SRS, as you may know, if you have tickets with them, they're also still backlogged and working through some of the issues with the late request. So they are working. Their help desk is working a lot too. So hopefully we will catch up soon. Other than that, I'm not aware of any. The SRS did make a few fixes throughout the window as we were discovering things, but I'm not aware of any future plans for them right now. So that's all I wanted to cover. Does anyone have anything else they want to talk about? Any questions?
I think for the,
Yeah, Gene was asking about PowerSchool Direct certification. I thought that was a fix that went out like
That went out like
a
in
month
September.
ago.
Yeah, that RDC or the RDC not publishing correctly, that got fixed quite early on. It was either end of August or end of September.
Yeah. Maurice, I think you have PowerSchool too. Yeah, I mean, there were lots of occasional issues with PowerSchool where some data wouldn't publish.
And we're working with them on that. We're going to try to add a publish this student only to the publishing page, hopefully before the year-end collection. And yes, there was just kids where as much as they say that it was going to go through automatically, it just didn't trigger things, and they really haven't been able to figure out the why, and it's pretty random. So hopefully it's just something that improves as they continue to improve the platform. And
the reconciliation, which should fix it, may have not been working in some cases too. But so yeah, we saw many reports of various different kinds of issues getting data to sync. But yeah, we will be talking about that with them. All right, I think that's it. We'll call it a meeting for today. Oh wait, sir. Angela's gotten one. Yeah, Angela's talking about a new type of enrollment, intra-district. I'm not sure what you mean where a student moves physically out of the district. So you need to change the district of residence for the student, but the student's still enrolled in your district.
instead of using that 200.
Yeah, we have actually talked about that. I should have added that to my list. Yeah, we may have a special exit code that's like not really an exit. That is just for saying you're changing your enrollment data, like the student's FTE changes, the student's district of residence changes, the student's calendar changes. We're definitely set up to handle all of that. We just need to give you the right code. Right now, we generally use 200 for that, but that's not exactly what 200s were meant for. I think if you do use a 200, nothing bad happens. But yes, you're right. That should be on our list for next year as well. If you're getting the errors, Angela, that is because you do not have the multiple enrollment records uploaded? I might guess it is. Our error system should, if you have multiple enrollments for a student, that the first one ends and then they come back on the next day with different data, it should be able to set up to handle that.
Oh, do you have an exit?
Oh, in Infinite Campus, the 200 causes a drop on this one, which we do not want in this case. True. I'm not sure if there is a workaround for that. Michelle or John, do you have anything to add to that, or is that just something we'll have to look at for later? You may need to unmute yourself.
Hi, Max. This is Michelle. Yeah, let me look into that. John and I will take a look at that and see if there's something that we can do differently there.
Maybe campus can set up a separate internal code that might still translate to 200 for us, but just handles differently in the system. I'm not sure how easy that is. But
will you be creating a new code?
We think we will, but generally we wouldn't do that until the next school year.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. We'll talk about that again later then. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thanks to the help desk team for working on all this. And generally, yeah, it could have gone a lot worse. I was happy with how it went, I'd say. Thanks for joining, everyone. Our next meeting will be December 12th.
Have a great Thanksgiving.
Thanks, everybody.